What's up? Hey, hello everyone. Wow. So today we are back going to be talking about Survivor season 44, the penultimate episode, episode 12. So my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa, and this episode was a really interesting episode, especially for me as a Carolyn lover. So I'm excited to get to talk about it.
Yeah, we start off this episode with everyone sort of realizing that they have been underestimating Carolyn. Carolyn says that she does not regret playing the idol last week, which is good. We talked about it in last week's podcast. Like, you basically ensured that Carson is going to stick around. You aren't 100% knowing that, Jamie and Lauren will be voting your way. So I think it was cool that we got some confirmation about this idol play last week.
Yeah, I love that too. I feel like it's a great way to kind of know what's happening.
Yeah, so we also hear Carolyn telling the story about the Red X idol and that big idol hunt that she went through, where because of this story and the idol play, we hear from literally everyone on the tribe, Jamie, Jam Jam, Carson, and Lauren, that Carolyn is a scary player. She's a good player, which is a big theme this episode. To me, I guess it was a little bit confusing that now we're seeing Jamie and Lauren say, yeah, Carolyn is scary. Okay, we'll vote for her because other people want to vote for her. Considering from exit interviews, if Jamie and Lauren think that they're close with the Tika men and it's actually a foursome with Jam Jam and Carson, then in their eyes, they should be thinking, yeah, Carolyn played the idol last week, but it was a misplay because it was the Tika guys and then Jamie Lauren as a foursome splitting the votes. But I guess, perception is reality. So if you say something enough, then it starts to become true.
Yeah, perception really is reality. I think it's interesting that people still think that the Tika men are willing to turn on Carolyn just because it seems like there was a lot of discussion this episode about like, do I turn on my closest ally or not? Like, do I need them now or not? And so I just thought it was interesting that people maybe perceive them as further apart than they actually are.
And we hear multiple times this episode from Carson, at least, that he didn't want Carolyn to go. In confessionals, he would be saying, yeah, I want to keep Carolyn around. Compared to Jam Jam this episode, it was a little bit scarier, more sketchy because he seemed more on the fence about this. In confessionals, he was even not sure, like, okay, do we keep her? Do we vote her out? Compared to Carson, he would say, yeah, let's vote Carolyn out to other people's faces, like to Jamie and Lauren's face to play up the facade. But then in confessional, he would keep saying, yeah, keep Carolyn, which was a little bit different for Jam Jam, who would lie potentially about it to other people, but still in confessional was conflicted about the decision.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because we also kind of see that reciprocated where Carolyn was like, I think I need to keep Carson, even though Carson is, you know, also a really strategic threat coming up on the final tribal. So I think there's like mutual love and respect between Carolyn and Carson. I'm interested because Jam Jam's name never really came up as an alternate to Carolyn or Carson. So I would be interested to hear how Carolyn would feel about cutting out Jam Jam and same for Carson.
Yeah, it's gonna be spicy time next week, which we can get to at the end when predicting for the finale episode. But here at the start, we also see Heidi. She is looking for an idol because an idol was played last night. They're thinking an idol is going to be placed back at camp. I think Jeff said in his podcast that there is an idol at camp, so seemingly no one found it, or the editing didn't show anyone finding it this week and they're saving it. But everyone is out there looking for the idol. No one found it here. Sort of funny scene where Lauren lures Carolyn into potentially climbing a tall tree. I do wonder, like, did Carolyn tell everyone about the snake she found climbing a tree looking for an idol, and this was like an homage to that? Or did Lauren just really want the coconuts, so she was like, yeah, climb this tree?
I think Lauren just really wanted the coconuts.
So Heidi, she's so funny. She keeps on doing things incorrectly.
Yeah, I feel like I feel bad for her because she's trying so hard, but she keeps doing things wrong.
Yeah, so we get to the reward challenge. I liked the shots that they showed to introduce this challenge. Like it had some cool like camera work, upside down shots. So I was like, oh, that's spicy and fresh. I liked that. We saw this exact challenge last season in episode 12. So same challenge in the exact same spot. And it was also a reward challenge. So similar to like at the end of the episode where contestants are thinking, okay, final five, we're going to a new beach, let's bring all of our stuff. People could start memorizing where challenges are and sort of game that system as well.
I thought it was interesting too. Maybe I talked about this last time, but I wonder if they had to use two hands to hold the two ropes for the challenge because it seems to me like it would be easier to put both ropes in one hand and that way you know you have even tension on both of them. And then also you can switch your arms when they get tired.
Yeah, for the immunity challenge, right?
Oh, right. I totally spaced. But yeah, the reward challenge also. I wonder the reward challenge was I don't like that they have the kind of funnel at the beginning of the reward challenge because then it's like the team that goes first kind of almost wins by default, I feel like, for the reward challenge, but I don't know for sure.
Because it's like a one-way street at the beginning.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we get Carson as a caller with Jam Jam and Lauren on the team, and then we get Jamie as a caller. No, Carson as a caller with Jam Jam and my notes are wrong. Who else is on the team?
Lauren.
Then who's Heidi is with Jamie and Carolyn.
Correct.
Okay, so I think we need a YouTube montage of Carolyn screaming at every single challenge because it's always so funny. And then she's blindfolded here screaming, and then she like reaches to the camera person.
This thing was it was so funny when Carolyn like got lost and somehow how do you lose a gigantic bamboo ball is my question. Like why did she let go of it? How did she lose it? Like what's going on?
And she's so far behind. Unless Heidi's super strong, she pushed it, and then literally Jamie goes flying that Carolyn's like 4 or 5 feet behind.
Yeah, more than that. There was a point where she looked to be like 10 or 15 feet behind.
Yeah, so I thought that was just so funny. I need someone to make a YouTube video montage of all of her screaming at challenges and like funny moments like this because it's just so funny and cute and quirky.
Yeah, she's cute.
So we see Carson and Jamie. They are the callers. They're doing the puzzle portion, the maze at the end, and they're in really awkward positions this season. I feel like compared to last season with Owen as the caller, he was straight up and down, like he made them fix his viewpoint. Whereas Carson, even though they were a little ahead, it just was like, yeah, let me do it at this like downward angle. Jamie, I guess makes sense. You're not going to waste time because you're already behind. You're not going to waste time to fix your position. But dang, I like your neck is gonna hurt that angle.
Well, also, you're not supposed to be upside down for too long, otherwise, it can like hurt your head. So, I guess I'm curious if like medical, like I would have thought that medical would have like made them right themselves. Because, like, if you're upside down for like a couple of seconds as you're rolling, that's not that big of a deal. But like staying upside down for too long can put a lot of pressure on like the blood vessels in your veins and all, or in your brain and also in your heart. So
Yeah, that's a little bit scary then.
yeah, but I assume that's not something that people were thinking about on Survivor.
Probably not. So we see Carson's team win, so they get to go to the sanctuary, which sanctuary is just the fun time now. Jam Jam was very happy to eat. It was interesting to see like the juxtaposition here compared to previous episodes where we've seen him be so butthurt after not getting picked for the reward challenges, like the feasts.
Yeah, that was funny. I wanted to feel bad for him, but it was just funny to me.
Yeah, laugh at other people's misery. So I also hear some about Lauren's backstory, being a single mother, how she doesn't have time for spa visits like this, so she really appreciated this reward. And then they go back to camp, and then Carolyn wants Jam Jam to burp in her face.
That was so weird to me. Like, straight up. How do you know that you're going to be able to smell chocolate on his breath? Like, I just, I feel like I need to know.
We can test it out.
No, thank you.
That was a funny scene, like cutting between Carolyn's and then Jam Jam's confessionals, where Jam Jam is like he, and then Carolyn's like he, but then she also sounds wasn't that good.
Yeah.
So I thought it was funny, but I do think maybe you could get some stench off of a burp if you waft it up, you know, really well.
Maybe.
It's so funny. Add that to the YouTube montage, I think. That's a great, it's so funny.
I just need like a Carolyn supercut, is what
Yeah,
I need.
literally. So we get to the immunity challenge. I felt like Jeff's commentating was very spicy this episode. He was really emphasizing some different words and like odd words in the sentence to emphasize.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of just tuned Jeff out at this point. So, yeah.
But this challenge, you have to balance a ball on a platform with the long ropes. Gets down to Heidi versus Lauren, and they make it to the second round of this challenge where Lauren wins. It's her second challenge win. And then only Heidi and Carolyn have not won individual immunity yet. For me, this is interesting because going into the ends game where Lauren is a good challenge competitor, Jam Jam wins, Carson wins. For like Carolyn, especially, I feel like this could not be a good thing. Heidi, we know, super fit, CrossFit woman. So going into the end game for Carolyn, I'm like, oh, this might not be good because you're surrounded by people that are very good at these challenges, similar to like Jesse last season not being able to win. I could see that being bad for Carolyn going forward.
I guess I wonder how much of like who wins immunity will actually be that big of a deal, because unless Carolyn gets voted out at 5, like at 4, even if you lose, you still have a way to get to the final. And then maybe at 5 there will be a bigger threat. Like I feel like Carson was talked about as a big threat. Some people I think in the past have mentioned Lauren as a big threat. So it's kind of like I am not that worried for Carolyn going into the final 5.
Yeah, I mean, for her, it could be fine because if the Tika 3 stay strong, you have two people, one to go at 5 and one to go at 4 for the Tika 3 to make it to the end. But if the Tika 3 don't stay together, then not being able to win immunity at 5 could be an issue if people are actually trying to turn on you. Like we saw Jam Jam this episode say, yeah, Carolyn practices fire until she's bleeding. She can win fire. They might not want to take her to Final Four in case she does win the Final Four fire making challenge. So I could see it becoming sticky if people actually want to vote her out, which will be so sad.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens. But I guess also the final 5 challenge is normally one of like the really heavily endurance based ones, right? So I could see Heidi winning that. And yeah.
Yeah, one that they have to run up and down a lot of stairs.
Yeah. Ugh. That
So
sounds like
Lauren wins, and then they are talking pre-tribal for the Tika members, and I guess especially for Carson and Jam Jam, it seems good for them for keeping Jamie and Lauren like on their side in this sort of fake pretend alliance, maybe a potential foursome alliance, and preventing Jamie and Lauren from linking up with Heidi because both groups, like the Jamie Lauren duo and then the Heidi person wants to work with the Tika trio. And it's like, oh, that is very fascinating that you can be a threesome and then sort of monopolize all the other pieces on the board here. And then Heidi not wanting to vote with Jamie and Lauren anymore because Jamie and Lauren have voted for her previously. And so it's very interesting people not being able to put past votes aside and then try to come together to link up for a common goal in order to get further and win the game.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're kind of just waiting for someone to turn on one of their close allies in order to have a chance in the game.
Yeah, which might never happen. It's like Danny playing the idol for Franny. Here, Heidi could have made a move if she potentially played the idol for Jamie, or if she got votes on herself to play the idol for herself. Like, you could have definitely flipped the script in order to sort of have your group of people move forward, or if you're thinking, yeah, person X is a huge threat. If I'm even at the end with person X, I have no chance of winning the game, or people just don't care. They just want the third place check at the end because that's more money than getting fifth place here. So it is just very interesting. Like you could have made a move, but also good on people for keeping them apart and not having Heidi link up with Jamie and Lauren by keeping that distrust between them.
Yeah, it's just interesting to think about what people might or might not be doing that is hurting their own game. So,
Which is sort of sad because we saw Danny and Heidi say, yeah, we are going to be the goats at the end. If we don't play the idol for Franny, we need her as a number. Let's play the idol for her. To now, just floating it so hard, where you could have tried to split up the Tika 3 and cement a more winning game for yourself with more things on your resume rather than sort of going with the flow with things. But I feel like voting Franny out seems to be a big turning point, making a lot of losing games for everyone besides the Tika 3.
which is kind of funny because a lot of people seem to see that as like their starting point, not
Yeah,
their place where everything falls apart.
yeah, like Jamie in exit interviews was saying, yeah, the Franny vote was a big part. Me and Lauren pulled off the Franny vote. So they're thinking, yeah, that's a start of their resume. That's a big thing on their resume. But I feel like from the outside looking in, it's like, okay, Franny goes, Danny goes. You're just losing all of the numbers that maybe could have done something about the Tika 3. And now your numbers are dwindling. You can't really do anything about it anymore. You're starting to create a losing game for yourself, which is very fascinating to see. We love the Tika 3, but speaking objectively for every other player out there, it's not good for them.
Yeah. So I guess a lot of people also won't admit if they are, just you don't say that you're aiming for third. So I don't think a lot of people would ever admit to, being willing to make a maybe less advantageous long term play just to be able to get to third.
Yeah, but apparently third place gets 85K. So that is a ton of money for, a month and a half out there, 2 months. So that's
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I do wonder if for Carson and Jam Jam, it's good for them to have Jamie and Lauren on side as a sort of backup alliance. But I do wonder if Lauren and Jamie, if they're going to get voted off now, feel angry that Carson and Jam Jam sort of led them on. Because I feel like we see this in Big Brother a lot where people are playing the middle, or if you have relationships with both sides and you don't necessarily put your foot down, like, no, I'm not voting with you, sorry, but you're always up in the air, like, I might vote with you, I'm not sure yet, that people end up getting really hurt later in the game with their jury votes because you gave these people false hope. So it's like, does Lauren and Jamie feel like they're being led on here? Do they feel like, why would Carson and Jam Jam say they're voting Carolyn and end up never voting for her? And if Carolyn gets to the end, that could be a good thing for her resume. Like, yeah, they said they were going to vote for you, but never did. So that's a, a good thing for your social game. I wonder if they would feel butthurt later.
I think part of that depends on who the final five vote is, because like if they do end up voting out Carolyn at five, it could just be a matter of like, hey, I just felt like I needed to keep her around for one more vote. I'm sorry I made that decision at the last minute. So I think I don't really see either of them being super butthurt people, but I could be wrong.
I agree. I think if you are going to play both sides or lead people on like this, you do need to vote that person out eventually that you're saying you're going to vote out. Otherwise, at final tribal, they're going to be like, why didn't you vote that person out? Very similar, Laurel, why aren't you voting Dom or Wendell out? We're trying to work with you. Why don't you vote one of them out? It's really annoying to try to work with someone like that who says one thing, then consistently does another thing. So I do wonder if people are wondering, oh, why aren't Carson and Jam Jam flipping? Or why aren't any of the three flipping on each other if they all know that each other is a big threat?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out with these three, because I still don't think that they're all three going to get to final three. But yeah.
Yeah, sort of want them to, because that would be like a great final tribal council. I am very scared though that Jam Jam is going to flip. I do see Jam Jam winner edit this episode going into next week. I can definitely see it setting it up for him to flip on Carolyn or Carson and then get to the end.
Yeah, I see Jam Jam as a possible winner, Carolyn as a possible winner, but also I could also see Carolyn as like the fallen angel, especially since they really hyped up how much winner potential she has, particularly this episode. So,
So, yeah, if the Tika 3 breaks up next week, at least it'll all happen in a 3-hour time period in the finale. We don't need to be silent for an entire week because with this, if Carolyn got voted out this week, oh, we'd be so sad this week, and then going into next week, be so sad. But now we're sad, it'll just be next Wednesday.
yeah.
But Carolyn, she starts to get worried at tribal council and then sort of meta. We've seen a lot of like meta takes this season where she specifically calls out, yeah, is this my goodbye speech? Oopsie. So maybe her nerves here will help her spidey senses going into the finale episode.
That would be fun. Like Carolyn knows when she's about to leave, at least gets to go out with a bang.
Yeah, like Jam Jam's acting maybe was a little bit too good at tribal council if Carolyn is seriously nervous considering like WTF these people may or were considering voting for me. And I think she probably realizes that Jam Jam and Carson were talking about her behind her back because after the votes are read, she says, "What the F?" And then she should realize, yeah, Carson and Jam Jam had to have given Jamie and Lauren Carolyn's name to write down. Jamie and Lauren probably just didn't write Carolyn's name down on their own whim without, a majority alliance behind them. So she probably realizes maybe her two are double teaming her.
Yeah, this might be the end of the Tika 3.
Uh, but at least one of the Tika 3 is now guaranteed final 3. Like what we said last week, probably two can make it there. One of them will have to go to fire and could lose, which could F up the Tika 3 final 3. But at least one is guaranteed final 3 now with 5 people left.
Yep, and it'll be interesting to see which one or more it is, and then whether or not the person who makes it will actually win. But I feel good about Tika's prospects in producing a winner.
Me too. But Heidi, I'm just very confused by her.
I'm
She
confused by her edit too.
Like, I would want to know exit press, exit interviews from Heidi if she gets voted out. At this vote, if you were concerned that people were voting for you, sure, you play the idol. But if she is voting for Jamie and everyone has told her the plan is Jamie, why does she think that everyone flipped on her to vote her out? Like, were there signs that she picked up on that maybe she thought people were flipping on her? Because if you have the one plan, I don't know, everyone could be talking about you behind your back, but it's just sort of funny. She keeps flubbing things.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she got vibes and the vibes were wrong.
Yeah, it's last week, like we said, okay, maybe she should have played her idol in previous weeks because she's always been the second highest vote getter, but now she plays the idol when she gets 0 votes and isn't even like one up for elimination. But I would say it is better safe than sorry. You would have clowned her if she was voted out with the idol in her pocket. So I feel like it'd be better to at least play the idol when you don't have to, rather than get voted out with the idol. So even if she didn't need to play it here, she could have made a big move if she were to work with Jamie and Lauren. Better safe than sorry. She did what she had to do to secure her spot in Final Five.
It could also be she could figure if Lauren's immune and I'm immune, higher chances of one of the Tikas going home. But of course, they voted for the one person who wasn't immune. That wasn't also the three of them.
Exactly. Like, could have made a move and tried to vote Atika out here, but alas.
Yeah.
Jamie, she's fun as usual. She was so excited and bubbly in exit interviews, and even when she got her torch snuffed, she was so happy.
Yeah, she just seemed like she was genuinely having a good time.
Yeah, so we need that energy in everyone because even when life is getting her down and she gets voted out of the show, she's still so excited, which is very admirable.
Yeah. So good on Jamie.
Yeah, but next week we go into the finale episode, which is very exciting. I think general consensus is probably Tika 3 as one of the winners, and then Heidi as a winner after the Tika 3, and then Lauren as a winner at like lowest chances of winning. But because there are 3 Tikas and all of them place above everyone else, it's probably the Tika winner.
Yeah, I feel like of the Tikas, I would say Jam Jam has the highest chance to win, followed by Carolyn, followed by Carson, and then Heidi, then Lauren.
I agree. I think Jam Jam is stock is rising, and especially at the beginning of the season with the Matt chats, a lot of people talked about Jam Jam, Franny, and I think Matthew got a Matt chat. And so the saying is, if you get that scene of talking to Jeff on the mat on the first day, your winner, like you can win the game. So Jam Jam's the only one left there. So that could be a thing, but I agree. It seems like people do respect Jam Jam. And if he does vote out Carolyn, that could be a huge thing for him. Carolyn, it's interesting because now people are thinking she's a bigger threat, but maybe people still don't like that like emotional stuff that she has, even though she does explain herself really well at this tribal council, talking about emotions again. And then Carson, even though people do see him as a strategic threat, I feel like because he's so young, that might hinder him.
Well, I also feel like Carson, a lot of his more impressive stuff happened earlier in the game, and
Hmm.
now he's kind of not become more low key, but he definitely isn't as flashy as he was at the beginning.
Yeah, so I'm so excited for this Wednesday to come around. And then this upcoming Thursday, we are actually going to be on the Nullified Take podcast. So Thursday at 8 p.m., talking about the finale episode, talking about our thoughts on the entire season. So if you want to chat with us on Thursday, go check out the TNT podcast channel and we'll be there.
Yep. Any other final takes to say before we head out, Rachel?
No, I'm very, very excited. I feel like the seasons always feel so long, but always also feel so short, and then I get confused about the time.
Yeah, week by week they're long, but then you look back and you're like, oh, shoot, it's the finale. So I'm really excited for this finale. I feel like I like a lot of the people still left, so that's going to be fun.
Yeah, so thank you all so much for watching. We will see you all this Thursday and then this upcoming maybe Friday or Saturday for our finale podcast on this channel. So we'll see you later this week. Bye.